So I'm starting a series of sermons on true Christianity, or what Christianity ought to be or supposed to be. There's a two-volume set if you're interested in more details. A quick read. But Christian can be a bad word these days. Some of those who call themselves Christians seem to use the title to cover up a world of sins, or it appears to make many people less Christ-like. They become judgmental, hateful, even cruel. It's kind of a bizarre read of Jesus' message and ministry. You can find Jesus' message, the Lord's message, in the four Gospels. There's four different accounts of it: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're very similar in many ways, but they have their differences, of course. But even with all that, the message is often misunderstood what it means. So what did Christ emphasize when he was on earth and was put in the Gospels? And it wasn't even that one had to be a Christian. That wasn't the main point of it. What emphasized was love to God and love to the neighbor, and keeping the 10 Commandments, if you want to simplify it a little bit. You can see this in his interaction with the rich young ruler who came and asked him the question I think all of us would be interested to know the answer to, like, what good thing must I do to inherit eternal life? What do I have to do? In other words, what do I have to do to be saved, to get to heaven? And the Lord's answer was, if you want to enter into life, keep the commandments. In other words, live well, shun evils as sins against the Lord. Everything we're taught in the Word is about love to God and love to the neighbor. Everything. So the commandments are about our relationship to God and to one another, and they show us how to do those things. So if we come away with a message that's different than that we should love the Lord and love our neighbor, then we need to go back because we are missing the point. We are mistaking what it is saying to us. So the reason that this new church exists, the church that exists based on the teachings of the new church, is to try to straighten out, bring back Christianity to what it's supposed to be. That's why we have this book, for example, entitled True Christianity. The main problem was that the church had divided God into three separate persons and separated faith from the life of charity. And there's an abundance of ills that were spawned from those fractures in understanding. And we'll get more into that in different sermons. I'm not going to get into that necessarily today. But the truth is, in fact, Swedenborg was once asked, so what is this faith all about that you've been writing all these books about? He says that God is one and faith and charity are one. Pretty simple answer. But there's a lot to it, of course. Well, in John 17, Jesus prays that we may all be one. It's a beautiful prayer, and you think about it. Do you feel like the church on earth is all one? Or is it splintered and divided? Well, he says this: Holy Father, keep through your name those whom you have given me, that they may be one as we are. I do not pray for these alone, but also for those who will believe in me through their word, that they may all be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they may also be one in us, that the world may believe that you sent me. And the glory which you have given me, I have given them, that they may be one, just as we are one. Real emphasis in that prayer on oneness, being unified. Yet Christianity is broadly splintered. So if you were to guess how many Christian denominations or sects there are in the world, what would your guess be? 1,000? Okay, any other guesses? Higher? Lower? 45,000. The Center for the Study of Global Christianity writes there are 45,000 different denominations or sects. Now think about that for a moment. There's 180,000 words in the New Testament. So really for every 4 words, there's a different sect, if you want to think about it that way. Or if you just bring it down to just the Gospels, which is 84,000 words, for every 2 words that are written, there's a different group of people that say, this is how it should be. Mind-blowing, right? It's basically saying we need to be separated from you because you have it wrong. We can't exist together. Well, we're taught in the heavenly doctrine that if churches focused on what was essential, all the churches would be one. Doctrinal difference would be no more than matters of opinion. They would say, I see that you care about what's important. You are my brother, you're my sister. This is from Secrets of Heaven, 1799. It says, in the Christian world, it is doctrine that differentiates churches. Doctrine is the basis on which people call themselves Roman Catholic, Lutheran, or Evangelical, Calvinist, or Reformed, and other names as well. These names grow out of doctrine alone, which would never happen if we considered love for the Lord and charity for our neighbor the chief concern of faith. If we did, those distinctions would simply be differences of opinion on the mysteries of faith. True Christians would leave such issues up to the individual and the individual's conscience. In their hearts, they would say, a person who lives as a Christian, who lives as the Lord teaches, is a real Christian. One church would come out of all the different churches, and all disagreement due to doctrine alone would vanish. Even the hatred of one denomination for another would melt away in a moment, and the Lord's kingdom would come on earth. Quite a powerful passage, one of those mic drop passages. Well, the message of Christianity, or true Christianity, is really quite simple when it's boiled down to its essence. And at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, the Lord gives a few closing thoughts designed to keep us focused on what matters. And he's saying it all comes down to this, and it comes down to what has come to be known as the Golden Rule. Therefore, whatever you want others to do to you, do also to them, for this is the law and the prophets. What does he mean by this is the law and the prophets? He means that all of this is contained in that phrase. The law and the prophets are about treating people the way you would like to be treated. That's what it's about. The rest, you could say, is commentary about how to do that. And it shouldn't be confused with the law of the Old Testament that's taught that an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, which some people think, well, that's how we should treat each other, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Because you did this to me, I will do it for you. We're actually taught that that is the law of hell, called the law of retaliation. And it never ends because you did this to me, therefore I will do it to you. And because I did that to you, you will do it to me. And because you did that to me, I will do it to you. And back and forth, and it never ends. It's actually, we're told, a law of restraint that the Lord gave because people would, if you remember growing up with siblings, if someone did something you didn't like, you would do much more to them, right? That's sort of how it worked. So the Lord said, no, reel it back in. I know you can't, I know you won't be able to just let go, turn the other cheek, and go the second mile yet. But if they do an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth is a way to contain things so it doesn't get completely out of hand. Like you hurt my eye, well, I'm going to hurt both your eyes and all the eyes of your family. That's kind of what it would happen if the Lord didn't have that law for people at that time. So that's not the ideal, but it's a way to restrain people. Mahatma Gandhi said, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, because it does have that tendency to just keep spiraling out of control. So the message of the Golden Rule, the message of the Lord's Word is treat people how you would like to be treated. And that's not rocket science. We could all even agree to that, I think, that that's a pretty simple thing to do. And we have data that says that 21 different religions in our world have a very similar statement that says the same thing essentially as the Golden Rule. And if you want to see some of those, there's 12 of them on the back of your task card, different faiths and what the Golden Rule would be from their faith. So the Golden Rule is best interpreted as saying, treat others only in ways that you're willing to be treated in the same situation. So to apply it, we need to use our imagination and place ourselves in the shoes of the other person on the receiving end of it and say, would I really like this to be how I'm treated? And if we act in a certain way and are unwilling to do it, then we are violating that law. So apply the Golden Rule adequately, we need to use our knowledge and we need to use our imagination. We need to know what effect our behavior and our actions have on other people. Of course, we can never truly know what it's like to be in someone else's shoes, but we need to be as completely honest as we can be about how this might impact this person if I do this thing, or if I say this thing, or if I behave this way. So if you borrow something from someone else without asking them, and you say, oh, I thought they wouldn't mind, you really, really, really need to know if that is true. Do they really? Do you have some sort of understanding that that's how it works between you? Or if we think, well, yeah, I mean, it can be critical and my tone of voice is a little bit harsh or whatever, I jab at people, insult them a little bit, they don't mind. Really? Do they not mind? Do you really know that they don't mind? Do we like it when that happens to us? So we need to use our imagination to vividly imagine ourselves in the place of somebody else. Would I like to receive this the way that I'm offering it? So listen to this following teaching. It says, therefore, those who are moved by good or from the heart to do good receive good from others. And also conversely, those who are moved by evil or from the heart to do evil receive evil from others. So we're saying, you get back what you give out. So if you put a bunch of negativity out there, you're going to get a bunch of negativity back. So let's think about the golden rule a little bit differently. There's actually a very ancient statement that's thousands of years before Jesus came into the world that says, do not do unto others what you do not wish done unto you. So don't do things that you know are hurtful. So the Lord turned that around a little bit and said, how about do unto others what you would wish them to do to you instead? So he flips the philosophy on its head a little bit. The negative form of it is a call for restraint, like Jesus is suggesting, that we need to engage a little bit more in people's lives and identify the needs of others and respond with kindness as we would like to be treated. Notice it's do unto others, not don't do unto others what you don't want done to you. Of course, that's a fair and useful reading of that, but the actual reading is more active and requires our empathy. Rather than what should we avoid doing, what is it that we could do that's kind, that I would like to be treated this way, so I'm going to actively think about treating other people that way as well. So what can I do rather than what I shouldn't do in this case? It reminds me of that passage from Married Love about true married love that says a couple has a desire to do the other every good. It's that looking above that rather than just what can I not do to irritate them, what can I do that's actually good and helpful and useful. So notice, though, that this passage, that the golden rule, is followed up by enter by the narrow gate. And I think the Lord is saying, this is difficult. This is not an easy path. We're going to want to we're not going to turn the other cheek. We're going to want to do eye for an eye, but he's saying it's going to take effort and attention on our part, and it's going to be a struggle. But it is a filter that we can use to run everything that we do or say through. Really thinking, how would I like to be treated? Is this how I would like to be treated? And as human beings, I think it's important to recognize that we aren't as different from one another as we sometimes like to believe. I say, well, they're different. Well, probably they like to be treated with respect just like you do. I'd like to have kind words spoken to them just like you do. So we just have to take this and apply it outside of ourselves. So let's use the examples of the commandments for a moment. Do not kill. Do I want someone to kill me or hurt me, or get angry with me, or criticize me unfairly or aggressively, or my loved ones? If not, then I should not do that. What would I like, though? I would like kind words. I would like gentle actions. I would like patience. I would like compassion. What could I do? How can I treat people the way I want to be treated? Do not commit adultery. Do I want someone else messing around with my loved ones? Want them being lewd or having no boundaries? If not, then I should not. What would I like? I'd like to be treated with respect as well as my loved ones, so I should act appropriately. Do I want someone to take my stuff, to steal my things or vandalize them? No, then I shouldn't do that either. But I also want to feel safe and be able to rely on others, so I should try to be a trustworthy person. Not just avoiding it, but really become someone that can be relied on. Do I want someone to lie to me, to manipulate or gossip about me? No, then I shouldn't do those things. I want to be able to trust people to be telling the truth and be honest with me and know when I'm not there, they're speaking about me the same way they would if I was there. So I should speak kindly, be affirming, be gentle, be fair, whether the person is in my presence or not. So golden rule or golden ruler, if you need one of those, there's a few more of those. A simple filter that we can pass everything through, and it's pretty simple when we get down to it. So imagine a community where every person truly lived this way. Instead of asking, what do I get? They're asking, how can I help? The Heavenly Doctrine points out that such a spirit is the very atmosphere of heaven. It says in Heaven and Hell 268, in the heavens there is a communion of all goods. The angelic life consists in wanting good for others more than for oneself. And this is the source of heaven's joy. So by living this golden rule, we can have that heavenly joy in this world, right here in our earthly lives. So I think the Lord is suggesting, maybe strongly, that the golden rule is not just something passive, it's something active, that we can think about how can I do something about this, not just what should I avoid. The Lord isn't just saying, yeah, do whatever, it's all good. He's calling us to elevate our game, to think, look at other people and say, how can I help them or do something good for them that I think I would like myself? And we have that choice. We get what we give, as that teaching indicates. With the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you. Sort of the spiritual law of karma, and that's how it works in the spiritual world. It doesn't always work that way here, but I think it does to a degree. So heaven is wonderful because everyone's there trying to do good for everybody else. Imagine that. And hell's not so great because everyone's focused only on themselves, and they're willing to hurt you if they don't like you or take your stuff. It's like, whatever, it's about me. So the steps toward this, I think, would be examining our intentions. Why am I doing this? What I'm about to do or what I'm about to say? And envisioning the good. What would I hope someone would do for me? Then do also for them. Act on it. So one of the advantages of writing a sermon is that I have all week to think about it and reflect on it. Sometimes that's not good news, but often it's good news because I have things occur during the week. And so I've been reflecting on the golden rule this week, and it's been really useful. I think it's a great tool that we can just take with us. To anything that happens, would I want someone to treat me this way? I'm in the grocery store, or I'm just walking by someone. Do I smile at them? Do I say hello? Would I like to be treated that way? If I pull over out of this lane on the highway, that will help that person emerge and they don't have to wait. I would like that. I will do that for them. Simple things like that. We can apply it in all situations. Therefore, whatever you want people to do to you, do also to them, for this is the law and the prophets. And as he says in Luke, and just as you want people to do to you, you also do to them likewise. Amen. Let me bow our heads for a short prayer.